as we go to the 5 red lights here, and away we go in Austria. It's a great start from Giovinazzi, and there's a little bit of a tussle there, and they all tangle up, and now Giovinazzi has got past Massa, and he's up into P5, so he's almost sandwiched between the two cars, and there's been a massive crash now, and that is part of his front wing off, and oh my god, we've got a safety car deployed. So is Giovinazzi going to be able to surprise Hamilton down the inside? This is probably going to be the only opportunity. Hamilton has a slight lock-up, and the two of them are going to be side by side almost as we go through the middle sector now, and Giovinazzi just about gets ahead as they go into turn 4, and now it is Sebastian Vettel who's trying to make a move, so he dives down the inside on the super soft tyres, but Giovinazzi makes the switchback move because Vettel will have the DRS, just about thinks about a move down the inside, but Ricciardo has crumbled under the pressure. A good few points for Giovinazzi. He will take that P7, and a big points haul for Haas. What's up guys, and welcome to round number 10 and episode number 9 of the F1 2017 career mode. Here today for the British Grand Prix, and after a few decent races for Giovinazzi, he arrives here in Britain finally with an engine upgrade, the first one of the season, and after it failed last time out in Austria, we applied the upgrade, and finally it has come through, so should be able to hopefully compete with those Mercedes power cars. Obviously Haas are pretty close to Force India in the standings, and after completing all of the practice programs with flying colours, there are plenty of resource points to go around. Unfortunately, one bad thing about this race is that during practice, Giovinazzi was sort of missing a gear, so unfortunately we've had to incur a second gearbox penalty of the season, which is a little bit disappointing. So that will be 5 places onto his qualifying result. And talking of qualifying, it is time to get into it now, as there you can see the Haas guys working hard on Giovinazzi's car before qualifying. But the good news is the car is looking pretty good, and there you can see Giovinazzi, with just 45 seconds left in the session, is sitting in P7. So here we go, we are going to take a full lap on board of my favourite circuit on the calendar, Silverstone, as we fly through turn 1. Giovinazzi takes that corner flat out as usual, now braking at the 100 meter board before clipping the inside of the village corner, and you can see he's slightly up on the current timing, and now going through the end of the first sector, and unleashing the car onto the Wellington Straight, going underneath the bridge. You can see a little bit up on his previous best time, but not by much, and I believe that's just 8/100ths of a second, so he's going to have to improve on that in the middle sector, and he's actually lost a little bit of time mid-corner there in Lovefield, and there you can see the checkered flag has come down. So will Giovinazzi be able to improve? He's got a car, I believe it's a Sauber, just ahead of him, so at the moment it's good because he's getting a little bit of an extra toe through this section as he goes through the old turn 1. You can see now coming towards Maggots and Beckett, he is closing in on that Sauber car, so it may become an issue as he goes on to the Hangar Straight, and there you can see a little bit of understeer, and they're losing just probably 2/100ths of a second, but it all counts as he gets a little bit of a toe there, and that has really helped him now down the Hangar Straight. So he's just about 1.5 tenths up coming out of the penultimate corner, and now going into the club complex, and you can see up to 3 tenths, so he must have broken really late for club corner, and round the final bend he's down into P8 for the moment. But what is it going to be? The question is, and it is P5. What a performance from Giovinazzi. I haven't altered the AI whatsoever, and he's just put in a stonking lap, probably his best lap of the season. But it was Lewis Hamilton that took pole ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, with Bottas and Vettel in behind. Obviously, the gearbox penalty means that Giovinazzi will only start in P10, just behind his teammate, but still a very good and very promising start to the weekend for the Haas team. So 2 cars inside the top 10, cannot complain about that whatsoever. And there you can see the Saubers and McLarens rounding out the grid. But now it is time for race day, and you can see Kimi Raikkonen leads the championship by just 14 points at the moment. But he took victory last time out in Austria and capitalised on the misfortunes of the Mercedes. So yeah, Still a lead in the championship for Ferrari as well, but it is Lewis Hamilton starting on pole for his home Grand Prix. And now going on to the formation lap, you can see that once again it was an out qualification for Giovinazzi, despite taking the grid penalty. He sort of does still get one up on his teammate in terms of raw speed, so he'll be looking to extend that today and make it 5-all in terms of race pace as well. It should be a one-stopper today. Obviously, pretty low tyre degradation here around Silverstone, which is unusual compared to previous years. But now it's time to get into the racing, going to the 5 red lights for the British Grand Prix, and away we go. Giovinazzi gets a pretty decent start. An awful start from Romain Grosjean, and now as they go towards turn 1, is he going to be able to make another move? Grosjean is under pressure behind from Esteban Ocon. They go side by side through the first corner, but clean start for Giovinazzi as he tries to go he thinks about making a move down the outside, down the inside of Felipe Massa as they now go through the end of this first sector. He gets a little bit of understeer there, of course, in the turbulent air, and the cars are very heavy, have about around 100 kilograms, of course, of fuel at this point in the race. And you can see briefly there that Sebastian Vettel has in fact taken an early lead in this race, but Giovinazzi manages to make up one position on his teammate and trying to make a move now on Felipe Massa, but it's going to be difficult as you can see the Mercedes engine in the back of that Williams is very, very quick. But skipping all the way onto lap 5, you can see Giovinazzi actually managed to stay within DRS range, and Romain Grosjean is only just behind Giovinazzi, so showing that this Haas is probably the 4th fastest car this weekend. And now as we go through Stowe, you can see Giovinazzi really holding onto the back of Massa, who in fact peels into the pit lane at the end of lap 5. So possibly some tyre wear struggles for Williams this afternoon, because that is way earlier than the first expected stop. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, it's looking like a one-stopper for the Haas boys this afternoon, and Giovinazzi probably will go on to the medium tyres when the time does come. But now on lap 6, he is already struggling on these tyres, and Romain Grosjean is now surely going to take that opportunity, seeing as Giovinazzi went onto the grass. So he dives down the inside, showing that Grosjean showing that he wants to be that #1 driver in the team, even though he has been outscored so far by Giovinazzi this season. And it is a big double lockup for the Italian, and Gio is really, really struggling at this stage of the race. So he's going to have to try and hang on to the back of his teammate, but just getting out of shape there. So he's going to have to try and keep his head if possible. And now we go on to lap 8, so that's an extra 2 laps. Grosjean's probably pulled another 2 seconds on the Italian driver, but as he slows now down into the pit lane, making his one and hopefully only stop of the afternoon. Of course, it was meant to be straightforward in Austria, but it wasn't made so, seeing as we had that massive collision on lap 2. But nonetheless, it should be relatively straightforward here in Silverstone if we don't have any collisions. But Giovinazzi now coming into the pit lane there. You can see Sergio Perez being serviced. So he is also going on to the medium tyres as Giovinazzi stationary for 2.7 seconds, but he's been held up by Nico Hülkenberg. That is the last thing that he wanted, surely. So not a bad stop from the Haas guys, but yeah, just completely out of his control, and that's going to lose him another couple of seconds to his teammate. And coming out of the pit lane now into P18, and quite a long way behind the likes of Sergio Perez, and even Jolyon Palmer has skipped him, who is on the soft tyres. So I'm not sure whether he has in fact made a pit stop yet. But yeah, the Brit shouldn't be too much of an issue, as of course the Haas car is looking a lot quicker than the Renault this weekend. So onto lap 10, you can see a couple more cars coming into the pit lane. That is Lance Stroll, so it's going to be almost side by side between the Canadian and the Italian driver. But it is Giovinazzi that emerges on top this time. So up into P17, as well, we have yet to see that many drivers actually come into the pit lane, which is very interesting. So possibly some of them just going for soft and super soft tyres, whereas Giovinazzi has gone for the mediums. One driver that's on the super softs is Nico Hülkenberg, so he has breezed straight down the inside of Giovinazzi and up into 15th place, I believe. Sorry, no, 16th place at the moment. But well, Giovinazzi, where has that pace gone? I mean, I know that obviously there is 2 compounds difference in the tyres, but still, after that great qualifying pace and great first few laps, it's really fallen off for Giovinazzi. Fortunately, though, the Sauber cars have caused a little bit of a buffer. They're almost like the cork in the bottle at the moment, but that goes all the way up into about P10 by the looks of it. Grosjean is up behind Marcus Ericsson. And now as we go further on into lap 13, it's Nico Hülkenberg and Jolyon Palmer, both of which are being held up by Pascal Wehrlein, and Giovinazzi trying to take advantage by going around the outside of Hülkenberg into Chapel. And is he going to be able to make the move? They are side by side now on to the Hangar Straight, and who is going to prevail going into Stowe? Is it going to be the German? Is it going to be the Italian? It looks as if Hülkenberg for the meantime has got the position, and unless Giovinazzi goes for a pretty audacious move down the inside, which he has done, it looks as if possibly Hülkenberg has got this one. No, there is a massive lockup from Hülkenberg as well, and they are now side by side going through the final corner into Club, and Hülkenberg trying to break the slipstream there, and now Lance Stroll fancies a bite of the cherry as well. But for the meantime, well, normal order has been resumed just about, and now onto lap 15, Jolyon Palmer has got ahead of Pascal Wehrlein. Hülkenberg's looking to do the same. Giovinazzi carries way too much speed into there, and in fact ends up losing a position to Lance Stroll. And this really hasn't been a great race so far for Giovinazzi. He's going to have to try and get past Stroll as soon as possible, because he's obviously going to want to get ahead of Hülkenberg. There was a little bit of contact between the two of them there, but Giovinazzi obviously has the DRS, and Stroll is now looking for a move on Hülkenberg, so 2 in a lap, possibly 3 if he can go down the inside of Wehrlein. But breaking even later is Giovinazzi. He got turned in on by Lance Stroll, but everyone was just dawdling through there. Giovinazzi took advantage and ended up making up 3 positions. So we're going to take a look at the replay of it. So yeah, Giovinazzi just goes to the inside. Stroll then pulls to the inside. I think there may have been a little bit of contact between him and Wehrlein, but I'd love to hear your guys' comments on whether you think it's a fair move or not. And then you saw Nico Hülkenberg come into the pit lane for his second stop of the afternoon. So it is all action, and Lance Stroll fancies another bit of action now down the Wellington Straight, and also his teammate Felipe Massa making a move down the inside of Pascal Wehrlein. So it is all action at the moment. Stroll has the outside line, but Giovinazzi is going to try and get some good traction now off Luffield and through Woodcut, and I think he's just about managed to maintain position. They're almost 3 wide going into Copse, but the 2 Williams cars do bail, and well, that was an incredible few laps there with Giovinazzi just about coming out on top. So now the end of lap 16, that is when Marcus Ericsson and Jolyon Palmer finally come into the pit lane for their one and only stop of the afternoon. We've also got Esteban Ocon, who is on a 2-stopper, who is coming out on the super softs. It's going to be tight, but very, very scruffy driving from Giovinazzi, probably concentrating too much on where Ocon was as to, you know, his actual proximity on the track. So Ocon is probably going to be ahead of him for the rest of the race, and sure enough, that was the case for the final 10 laps. And then you can see that Giovinazzi in P10. Really not much happened in the final 10 laps of the race. He managed to pull ahead though of the Williams drivers, and it is just the 1 point this afternoon. Maintains his grid position in P10, so 1 point for the Haas team, and also Roman Grosjean did manage to get some points, so not a bad afternoon whatsoever for the Haas drivers. There you can see though it was Kimi Raikkonen who took victory once again. Just what is up with him in this career mode? It's just ridiculous. But yeah, there you can see he picks up his trophy and sprays the champagne. So it was Bottas in second, and another poor result for Hamilton, who could only manage P3. So yeah, he's got quite a deficit in the championship now, and the Ferrari guys are rightly so looking quite happy with themselves. So taking a look then at the full race results, it was Raikkonen, Bottas and Hamilton, with Vettel staying put in 4th, and the Red Bulls of course in 5th and 6th, the best of the rest. And Sergio Perez in 7th, who was just 4 seconds, less than 4 seconds in fact, ahead of Roman Grosjean. And Ocon and Giovinazzi made up the final points positions. There you can see Felipe Massa made 3 stops and Lance Stroll just the 1, but he dropped right off the pace, did Lance Stroll. Not quite sure what happened to him, with yeah, Massa just not having a great afternoon whatsoever. Hülkenberg and Kvyat couldn't catch Giovinazzi either. Everybody in fact finished the race in what is quite a difficult race to finish, I always think, Silverstone. You know, quite tough on the engines. But yeah, going on to the championship, it's a 24-point lead now for Raikkonen, so he has almost 1 race victory on the rest of the field. Giovinazzi staying put in 8th, with Grosjean staying in 10th, but just closing the gap on the Italian driver. So yeah, all in all, A pretty solid race, another points finish, and for Haas, again, not too bad, but they were outscored by Force India, so Force India extend their lead to 9 points over Haas in 4th place. So yeah, going to be a difficult second half to the season. Obviously, a bit of a gap to Williams, but guys, that concludes today's race for the British Grand Prix. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Do take care. Bye-bye.